Okay, well, I guess we're back online. We were offline, and now we're back. I don't know how this stuff works. This is our first time. So,
Yes, it
and we're here in Mild Echo. There's a lot of variables that we have not dealt with so far. So, continuing our conversation, Chris, recap kind of what you guys have said so far about the team that you're worried about the most and why. Not the entire thing, just recap so people at home can hear it.
Right. Just I said the Steelers, Super Bowl contender, killer instinct, and just being able to put your foot on teams' necks when you got them up in the lead. That is my worry. That's my concern. Steelers only have one win out of their 6. That's a blowout win, and they're playing against inferior teams. So the killer instinct is what was my flaw with the Steelers. I think they can go all the way if they develop it.
All right, my Super Bowl contender was the Ravens. I feel like they're still a great team, but they just had to switch it up a little bit as far as getting Lamar to play a little bit uncomfortable because we saw earlier this year against the Chiefs, his rushing was shut down. So I feel like the Ravens just have to get more into a passing offense to get ready for the playoffs so we don't see the same story we saw last year.
Yeah, for me, I'm going to go with the Seattle Seahawks. Now, good thing this morning that just happened was they traded for Carlos Dunlap, defensive end for the Bengals. That was their biggest need, was certainly defensive end. You need some pass rush to get to the quarterback because so far they are the worst pass rushing defense in the NFL, along to go with the worst defense overall in the NFL so far. And I hate to compare everything to the Chiefs, but I'm going to in this case because they remind me a lot of the Chiefs 2 years ago, to whereas they have a top 5 offense because they have to have it, and they have a bottom 2, bottom 5 defense. And what you're seeing right now is Russell Wilson in that Arizona Cardinals game. Yes, he had a good game, but he had 2 picks. That is not like Russell Wilson whatsoever. And a should have been pick 6 that DK Metcalf went ahead and hawked him down for, right?
Yeah.
So I'm starting to see a little bit of a crack in the armor with Russell Wilson and the Seahawks team because that Chiefs team played in a better conference at the time, and they played a much better style of offense. That Chiefs offense was undoubtedly a historically great offense. This Seahawks offense cannot do that. They do not have the weapons like the Chiefs offense did. And listen, the gap between Russell Wilson and Patrick Mahomes is not that big, but there is still a gap. Patrick Mahomes has shown that he can do that, and even when he did do it, they still lost in the AFC Championship, right? So why would I believe with a defense that's probably worse than the Chiefs was and an offense that's a little bit worse than the Chiefs was, why would I think that they can get any further than the Chiefs did or even get to that point? Because right now I'm looking at a lot of playoffs, a lot of playoff contenders. I don't like their matchup against Green Bay. I don't like their matchup against Tampa Bay especially. I think the Cardinals, depending on the regular season kind of results, I think the Cardinals can get them. The Rams, I'm not 100% sure on.
Everybody in that division is 500 and above.
Right, that division is fantastic right now. And this is not a lack of competition because they have played a pretty good schedule. But the fact of the matter is that we've seen this movie before, but they are a diet version of that. And so I just don't see, unless Carlos Dunlap comes in there and changes a whole lot of things on that defense, I don't see this happening. I don't see them going that far. And it sucks because I predicted them to go to the Super Bowl this year. But with a defense that's worse than the Chiefs were 2 years ago and an offense that's worse than the Chiefs was 2 years ago, I don't think that they can keep up against better competition than the Chiefs played against. I misspoke earlier. The Chiefs played a easier schedule to get to the conference title because they had to beat Indianapolis, Andrew Luck Indianapolis, who had zero talent around him. The Seahawks are going to have to go through Tampa Bay, New Orleans maybe. You're going to have to go through Green Bay. Guys in your division, like you said, everyone's above 500. 49ers might be in it. LA Rams will be there, and the Cardinals will be there. So
Russ has to play perfect.
Yeah, and that's the thing. He can be the second best quarterback in the league and still not be able to shoulder this much because it's not fair to say that he has to shoulder all of this because all of a sudden it went from this offense was abysmal and we'd never give Russ the ball to now we will lose if we don't give him the ball. Right. So to go so far into one direction is not fair to Russ. But Russ just isn't as good as Patrick Mahomes. And even Patrick Mahomes couldn't get to the Super Bowl. So I don't see a whole lot of positives right now at the Seahawks. Now, that's not saying I don't think your defense can get better because Jamal Adams has been out the last few games, and now they're adding Carlos Dunlap. It can get better, but if it continues this way, I don't see the Seattle Seahawks being there in the end.
No, I don't. I
Yeah.
have the Packers anyway.
You got talking to the mic now. Yeah, we're not on IG Live. You got talking to the mic now. Yeah.
I have the Packers in my prediction for the NFC anyway, so I understand your concerns.
Yeah.
No doubt.
Okay, I want to talk about a very controversial quarterback here because I'm hearing a lot of different things coming out from the media about this one player. Baker Mayfield on Sunday versus the Bengals starts in the first quarter 0 of 5 with a pick, comes back, goes 22 of 23 throughout the rest of the game, 297 yards and 5 touchdowns. 5 tubs. That's exactly right, Chris. Were you impressed with Baker Mayfield's performance on Sunday, given the opponent? Take the mic.
All right. Shout out to Cincinnati Bengals. They put up a fight. Obviously, I thought they were going to win the game, but I got to give credit where credit is due. I will say he played pretty well as far as throwing. We've all been wanting to see Baker Mayfield throw. I can't give him all that much credit because, it is the Bengals. But I will say he showed us that, he can throw and he can carry the offense, especially with Odell going down. So, yeah, we haven't seen Baker Mayfield do that, have a performance quite like that this season. Or I don't even think last year either. But, yeah, so I think it was one of his better performances. I don't think it's anything to get too hype over, but I will give him credit. He did great.
Okay.
Yeah, you said the key word there. We ain't going to get too hype over it. It's the Bengals. The Bengals are trash. We know that. But Baker Mayfield did have 5 of them tubs, and they needed every bit of them tubs that he threw. My thing was that they were down, they came back, they were down, they came back. The resiliency is more than anything that showed me that Baker, he's capable of having games like this. But he also needed to have a game like this because of just how abysmal he looked versus Pittsburgh the following week, or the previous week, I should say. So he needed a game like this. He stepped up. Odell, as Jordan eloquently put it, went out, and he won the game. But once again, it's against the Bengals, so we can't get too hype about that. But moving forward, if Baker can show some consistency, then maybe we can get a little hype about that.
Here's my problem with the whole media cycle around Baker Mayfield now is that point right there as to, well, the Bengals aren't very good, so we shouldn't really give him any credit. So what that tells me is no matter what you do going into this game, we're not going to give you any credit. So you can light it up like you did. You can do whatever you want, but we're not going to give you any credit. I promise you, if this was Lamar Jackson, we're having a whole new conversation right now. We're talking about, man, this guy looks like the MVP, right? But with Baker Mayfield, all of a sudden we construe it to where it's a whole nother argument. We're like, well, it's the Bengals, right? We expect you to light them up. Let's see how you are next week. Why is that? Why is it we do that with Baker Mayfield but no other quarterback in the NFL? Because if Patrick Mahomes went in there, I am 100% admitting this, if Patrick Mahomes went in there and had this exact same stat line, we would be putting him in the MVP conversation. But because it's Baker Mayfield, and because he has to carry this sorry secondary and this sorry defense, Denzel Ward and Myles Garrett are ballers. They are terrific players. Everyone else, take a flyer on them because they're missing right now, okay? You put some missing posters up on the safeties right now because they're not playing well. They're giving up big plays, and their style of play does not complement that whatsoever. So you get Baker Mayfield to give about 300 yards, 5 touchdowns, had a perfect game, and really the only incompletion he had of the 22-23 was a spike. But if it was any other quarterback, we would be praising them, talking about, wow, what a performance, the resiliency, and you did lead to that. Mm-hmm. But the fact that there are some people out there that are discounting this because it's Baker Mayfield and the Browns. That's it. There are no other reasons. If this were Deshaun Watson, we would praise him. If this were Patrick Mahomes, we would praise him. But because it's Baker Mayfield, we're waiting for the other shoe to drop, and that's not fair to him. And so I don't like that argument. It's fair. The Bengals aren't a great team, right?
No, they're not.
But when other quarterbacks light up bad teams, they are praised. Mm-hmm. So I think Baker Mayfield should get the same thing. but he's not. And that, I think, is what's wrong.
I think a lot of analysts is like they expect it. They expect him to light up this team because many people came into the game saying this was a must win.
Yeah.
Right, for the Browns. And it's crazy because the Browns were, 4-2? Or
yeah, 4-2.
4-2.
They're 5-2.
Right. So, and they were saying this is a must win coming off the play that he had against Pittsburgh, which to me was that was the craziest thing. But
he was also very, very injured, and he really should not have been playing in that game. He had ribs injuries, and his hand was.
You took the words out of my mouth.
He was very hurt.
He was not 100% going into Pittsburgh, and it just went downhill very fast in that game. But he responded well, and you're right. He should get praise as he gets criticized. He should get the praise as well, because he played phenomenal, and he was the reason why they won the game.
Yeah, Baker Mayfield is also the only quarterback that we can go, he's not the guy. Later in the game, we're like, okay, he's the guy. He's the only quarterback in the NFL that gets this treatment. Because in the first quarter, 0 for 5, 1 pick, we're like, okay, bust. Get this guy out of here. Do you guys realize this is the only quarterback that has won in Cleveland since Otto Graham? That they are. I think the record was 4-46 with any other quarterback outside of Baker Mayfield in the last 10 years. Can you believe that? But all of a sudden, Baker Mayfield gets there, and now we are criticizing the crap out of him. For what reason? Because he's the number 1 overall pick, and he hasn't been as good as Josh Allen, or he hasn't been as good as Patrick Mahomes. Right, but that's why we're criticizing him, because of his draft spot as opposed to his play. Because if this were Gardner Minshew and he had started winning in Cleveland, this would be a Greek god that we would all bow to his feet. But because it's Baker Mayfield and he was drafted number 1 overall, we look at him as a disappointment, and I think that needs to change.
Yeah. So. Also, I feel like a lot of analysts just don't like the way he responds to media as well. He comes off as very cocky, so they
he does.
Like to see him, lose too.
It does. I understand that. He does come off cocky, but he went. Listen, they're 5-2. Like we're treating the Cleveland Browns like they are still losing one. They're still winning 1 to 2 games per year. They are 5-2, and Baker Mayfield is a big part of it. He has played hot and cold. The Josh Allen experience, when he's very inaccurate versus very accurate, has not transferred over to Baker Mayfield, because I do admit he plays atrocious at times, and then there's times where I look at him as the number 1 overall pick that he was. That last throw in the Bengals game, that was one of the most beautiful, perfect placed balls you could possibly imagine. Yes, it went literally right through the defender's arms, right through him. So it's there, but we just keep talking ourselves into, well, he's a disappointment because he's the number 1 overall pick. Listen, maybe he shouldn't have been the number 1 overall pick. But is that his fault? No. It's the same thing with Mitchell Trubisky. Why did we all of a sudden start hating Mitchell Trubisky? Because he got drafted higher than we thought he should have been.
Yeah.
Everyone hated him immediately. I know it's hard to share a mic. I know.
It is. But that's okay. Yeah. He was number 2, and he was picked over Deshaun Watson and Patrick Mahomes.
Right.
So that's why.
Therefore, yeah, right. But
crazy.
But here's the thing. Why is that Mitchell Trubisky's fault? And why do we take it out on him? Why do we say, oh, man, you're the problem? Well, I shouldn't have been drafted there. That's the problem. Blame your team, not me. Baker Mayfield, maybe he shouldn't have been the number 1 overall pick. But right now he's winning in Cleveland, and no other quarterback ever has. Just saying.
Well said.
Yeah. All right, I want to move on. We got to talk about him every single week, it feels like. I have a question for you. I'm kind of tired of talking about these trash Dallas Cowboys. I want to talk about another aspect of them right now. Did this Dak injury actually make him money? Because you're looking at the last 2 performances, and yes, they beat the Giants, but did they? They really lost in that game at the same time, because you're in a division that is enabling you to lose and to be putrid, and that's what they are. So did Dak actually make money by getting injured and showing the world what the Dallas Cowboys look like without a franchise quarterback?
In my opinion, Yes, his value is definitely increasing. It's definitely going up.
Yeah.
His value for keeping the defense on the field, his value as far as getting the passing yards, his value as far as his leadership, where things are not leaking out to the media, his value as far as just the quarterbacks that are behind him, because we know Andy Dalton has played like trash, and that's probably understating his performance. So basically what it is that Dak's value has exponentially went up. We know that the Dallas Cowboys have a lot of weapons on the offensive side of the ball, but it takes a guy of talent, dedication, leadership to lead the guys in the locker room and on the field. So it's without question, Jerry Jones is going to have to make a serious decision on what he wants to do, because this team right now, I don't know if they can win more than 2 games for the rest of the season.
Yeah, I 100% agree.
Oh, yeah, I most definitely believe so. I feel like Jerry Jones is definitely paying attention to that. Like he's saying Dak is worth anything that can go on paper at that point. When that is quote?
Yeah, he said pretty much write down anything on a piece of paper and it's yours at this point.
Yeah.
Is that true? Do you think that's true?
Well, yeah, I think that's too far, but I definitely see he's the guy that they need to pick right now. Now, as far as with Andy Dalton and whoever's about to come up next, I don't know. Third string quarterback. Because after Andy Dalton left the game with an injury, you're really about to see how much they miss Dak Prescott, especially now because Ezekiel Elliott's not playing anywhere close to what he did his rookie year and following year. It's kind of like a common thing when players get that contract, they can either play better or play worse. And right now we're seeing Ezekiel Elliott play a lot worse.
Yeah.
He's fumbling the ball. They look like they just look like they are in need of a leader.
They've given up. Just say it.
Yeah.
They've given up. You look at what happened. John Bostic hit to Andy Dalton. He is laying cold on the ground. He's probably asleep. He has been hit. It was such a dirty play by Bostic there. Yep. And your offensive linemen are just standing around, wondering what's for dinner that night, just looking at the clouds, and they're just standing by while their quarterback, yes, a backup quarterback, but that shouldn't matter. That's still your brother, and that's still your teammate, is on the ground after that hit, and they had no reaction whatsoever. That, I think, is the worst thing that's happened so far this season, including the Dak injury. But to answer the question, I do think it actually has made Dak more money, because you're more valuable when you're not at work. When you are not doing something, people realize, man, we really need that guy around here because things aren't getting done the way they should be, right? So when you call out sick to work and you come back the next day and they didn't really miss you, you weren't that valuable, right? With Dak Prescott, it has opened my eyes. It has opened, I think, many other people's eyes. This was the Dallas Cowboys offense, because these wide receivers, they're not getting the ball with Andy Dalton. This running game is still not going. This offensive line still blows. This defensive line is still just indifferent. So you have so many aspects of this team that you need to rebuild. Dak is the one thing that was consistent and probably the best player on your team. But the question is, if you pay Dak all this money, does it make you that much better? It doesn't. It makes you a few games better, and is that worth it? That I don't really have an answer to that. All I know is they're pretty bad without Dak, or they're pretty bad with Dak. Without Dak, they're horrible. Is Dak Prescott, is paying him $30-something million a year, top quarterback money, worth just that much more of a gap? I probably say no. But at that point, you would just have to let him go.
Yeah, you would.
And he's not the problem. I want that to be clear. He is not the problem in Dallas.
No, he's not the problem in Dallas at all. But at the same time, you got to start somewhere. That's why I said you got to make those tough decisions. What are you building your team around? Everybody knows that the foundation of an NFL team is the quarterback position. So you have to make that decision and say, okay, listen, if you are serious, Jerry Jones, and write down the number, hey, give Dak his $35, $40 million. You understand, Dalton, he ain't it. The third quarterback, he ain't going to be it. And you probably not going to get you can do a draft pick, but that means you probably going to have to tank because
that's where this team's at in my mind.
Tanking.
Yes.
Okay.
Because you're capped out. Tyron Smith can't stay on the field. Even when he does, he's not what he used to be. Zach Martin, you could probably move and get something for him. even though he has injury problems, not so far right now. Lil Collins always seems to be injured. Tank Lawrence, DeMarcus Lawrence, where has he been? Jalen Smith, where has he been? Leighton Vander Esch, also very injury prone. And you are capped out, and you are still losing. That is a complete reset to me because you don't have any room to go spend or go get a huge draft class. So you have got to start rebuilding.
Yeah, everybody's getting the bag, but ain't nobody putting in the results.
That's exactly what's happening. Everyone's getting a bag in Dallas, but they're not securing any W's.
Right.
That's exactly what's happening. And I don't know if Dak is worth the top QB money to make you a tiny bit better. Because even with Dak, maybe you make the playoffs. You're going to get slaughtered in the first round. Eagles are probably going to get slaughtered in the first round because they'll probably make it out of this division. Or who knows, the Giants or the Washington football team now. But is that $40 million price tag a year worth being that much better? I don't know.
That's the question.
That's the question.
That's the question.
Yes. And we don't have an answer for it.
No,
so
not yet.
I lean towards no, but I'll wake up tomorrow and probably have another answer. So, all right. I heard this question on sports radio the other day, and I feel like I have to ask it. If you had to pick one of these young quarterbacks to build your franchise around, which would you choose? I know who Jordan's gonna go with, but I want to find out from you guys. Number 1, Kyler Murray. Number 2, Joe Burrow. 3, Justin Herbert. Or 4, Lamar Jackson. Now, for you listeners out there, we have a Chargers fan and a Bengals fan in here, so let that marinate before they get their answers in. I'll go last, so I want to hear what you guys have to say.
All right. Now, as far as potential and like longevity, most definitely Joe Burrow. We have seen the arm. We have seen even in this loss, he still had 300+ yards, right? And he's just doing great, putting up big numbers for a rookie quarterback. I mean, you think he's already been playing for some years.
You're right. He looks like a vet out there.
And he's putting up all these numbers on the Bengals with a lack of weapons and all this. And the game was like in his hands at that point. For him to throw that incredible throw. It didn't make it, but it was still a great attempt to win the game. So I just look at Joe Burrow this year, and I'm like, wow, this guy's rookie of the year. Without a doubt, and he is definitely going to be a great quarterback come these next few years. Now, if we're talking right now, obviously Lamar Jackson, he's on the better team. He's doing his thing. But I think as far as the quarterback skill
and to build around, you'd pick Joe Burrow. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I also want from you guys is I want you to rank them 1 through 4.
Ooh.
So one of these quarterbacks is going to get some shade. That's just the fact of it.
Man.
I have my list. I've already answered these questions. I already have my list. So I want you guys to go. What is yours since you're already on it?
Man.
So Kyler, Joe, Justin, and Lamar.
I really don't want to sound crazy, so I'm going to put Lamar first. Sorry.
Lamar first? You just went with Joe Burrow. To build your franchise, just stick with Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow's a good pick, man.
Yeah,
we are not going to chastise you for picking Joe Burrow.
I know, I'm saying he's an MVP. Yeah. All right. Well, yeah.
Future
Lamar's
MVP.
definitely going to go. Lamar's going to go second because Joe Burrow number 1.
Okay.
I just feel like skills all around as far as throwing and rushing. I feel like Joe got it. Number 3. I'm going to go with Kyler.
Okay.
And then the last. It was
And
4, right?
Justin Herbert is the last
Justin
one.
Herbert's last.
Okay. All right. I'd love to hear your answer, Chris.
I'm sure you would. You dig.
No.
Stop.
Back and forth with the dig.
We're not going to today. Okay.
Okay.
Number 1, we got Justin Herbert. Okay.
Why am I not surprised?
I do like Joe Burrow.
Okay.
Don't get me wrong. Joe Burrow is the truth. He is a great quarterback. I don't know about Rookie of the Year, no doubt, because Justin Herbert, too, is a rookie, and he's been playing pretty well and has more wins.
Justin Jefferson.
Justin Jefferson's been playing
I mean,
well.
he's a top receiver already, not
Without
just
question.
young receiver.
Without question.
Yeah.
I think that Rookie of the Year conversation can go a little bit
It's
more.
a tough one.
Without question. But Justin Herbert, 6'5", can throw the ball, and the guy didn't even start the season as the starting quarterback. He won the job ultimately as a starting quarterback. He's a guy I would definitely start my franchise with. He can run for a guy that's big. He has a live arm. And one of the things that he does very well is now that he's been doing well, especially the past couple of games, is protecting the ball. He had a great game versus the Saints. He had a great game versus the Jaguars as well, winning. So he's number one. Number two would definitely be Burrow, without question. But Burrow also had expectations being the number one overall pick. We knew he was the best quarterback coming into the draft this upcoming year. So Herbert was 6. He was a top 10 as well. But Burrow, it definitely has the arm. He is the athleticism. He doesn't have an assortment of riches as far as playmakers around him, but he does have some solid
Or he has folding chairs for offensive linemen right now.
And I was going to get to that. Yeah, he definitely don't have the great offensive linemen, but he is putting up good stats for a rookie. That team will improve as the future years come. Me, next will be Kyler Murray. Kyler Murray's number 3 in my mind. Once again, he's a dual threat quarterback. He's also the smallest of the 4.
By a wide margin. All these guys are 6'4" at least.
Without question. He's the smallest of them. He also probably has the best receiving core around him of the 4 as a totality.
Yeah.
With Fitzgerald and Hopkins and company, and also Kirk as well. He can throw the ball deep. He can also be athletic and get out the pocket. He's just a guy that is making great progress for Arizona, and just to think Arizona was just a team in shambles a couple years ago. They picked him, and now they're good. Last for me would be Lamar Jackson. The reason why is because he's not a developed passer like the other 3 quarterbacks that I mentioned on the list. He still has some development to go. He is an incredible athlete, but obviously we don't know many running quarterbacks that get older in the league. You must develop from the pocket, and you must also trust your receivers. Most of the time when he throws the ball, it's in between the hashes to those tight ends and those running backs. He has to be able to develop as a passer for me to even put him higher on that list.
Yeah, I agree with a lot of what he said. For me, I have a very clear – I could argue 2 and 3. I have a very clear 1 and 4. My 4 is Lamar Jackson. Listen, you have it or you don't. And when it comes to passing, he just doesn't have it when it comes to elite quarterbacks. He can do his thing. He can be a middle of the road passer, and then with his legs, that creates a weapon. But when it comes to what am I building around, I don't think Lamar Jackson's going to be this way in 10 years. I don't think it's possible. The speed won't be there, and I don't know that he can rely on the arm enough to be an elite quarterback. I know these guys have arms to where I can put them in elite categories somewhere in the future. One guy in my mind already is, but see, these guys can be elite in the future. Number 3 for me is Justin Herbert. To me, this is still a little bit of my pessimism about him in college. I didn't think he was going to be very good. I am already dead wrong.
I'm with you on that one.
Yes, I did not think this. I thought he was very average. You see the physical talent, but there was no way I thought he was this accurate, and there's no way I thought he was this smart, because that one throw against Kansas City is probably his worst throw, and that's a rookie throw. That's okay. Like he's played almost perfect.
That was his first start, by the way.
Right. The only knock I have is they have been in a lot of close games. I want to see him win more of those. But I mean, this sample size is this big, so I am not nitpicking whatsoever with Justin Herbert. Right. Number 2 for me is Joe Burrow. He just has it. He is a vet in there. He is a leader. You can tell the Cincinnati team plays for Joe Burrow. That right there puts him in number 2. He's already breaking NFL rookie passing records. He's gonna pass for almost 5,000 yards.
Yeah, when you throw the ball 45 times a game.
Exactly. It's because they're counting on him. They're counting on him to throw the ball so much, and he has had such a bad offensive line. Defense has gotten much better than last year, but again, it couldn't have gotten any worse. I've said that a million times because that Cincinnati defense last year was like Swiss cheese. Okay, it was that bad. But this year, they are much improved. They got a lot of guys. They just traded Carlos Dunlap, but they weren't using him anyway. This team is much improved, and when you're talking about the future of the NFL, I can't imagine it without Joe Burrow in the AFC, because he is going to be a force to be reckoned with. Okay, so I have Joe Burrow number 3. For me, number 1, clear, Kyler Murray. This kid, when he's on, is as good as Russell Wilson. When he is on. Now, here's the problem I have with Kyler Murray in the Arizona Cardinals offense is it does stall out often, a little too much for my liking, to where they'll have 2 or 3 drive back to back to back, where it'll just be a 3 and out, or if it is, they'll move the ball about 10 yards, and then they'll have to punt it away. This is a rhythm offense, much like others in the NFL, and Kyler Murray is a rhythm quarterback. When this guy's on, he is as deadly as there is in the NFC, and that's including Russell Wilson and including Aaron Rodgers. He is also running the best running quarterback I've ever seen in my life, and that includes Lamar Jackson. Because this guy doesn't get touched ever. He's too quick. He's too shifty. Lamar Jackson is bigger, so he's willing to take more hits. Kyler Murray's not. He gets out of bounds. He's smarter when it comes to running the football.
Much smarter.
Yes.
Much smarter.
And he has an offense that fits him just like Lamar Jackson has one that fits him. But Kyler Murray's arm is, I think, the best of any of these guys. He launches that thing down the field, and he is also deadly accurate. But once again, when he's not 100% in rhythm, he kind of looks average at times. I will admit that. But when it comes to potential and the ceiling, Kyler Murray, for the next 10 to 15 years, will be the second best quarterback in the NFL behind Patrick Mahomes.
One more thing I'll say to that. The reason why I couldn't put Kyler up there at number one was because his turnovers.
That's a good point.
He does take a lot of chances, and he does turn over the ball. And the reason why he throws a lot of interceptions is because, to me, he can't really see over the big lineman,
Right.
and he has to be able to roll out. Most of his throws that you see down the field are either play action or rollouts.
Yeah.
They're just not drop 5-step or 7-step drop back.
And if they are, it's to D-Hop every time.
Without question. So he is an amazing talent, but the turnovers do bother me a little bit, and that's why I didn't have him one on my list.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point because he is certainly a risk taker. He likes to take shots down the field. He likes to take risks that other quarterbacks wouldn't. So that is a fair point. But I'm talking about ceiling. And right now, these are the ceilings that I see. Kyler, Joe, Justin Herbert, and Lamar Jackson. Because Lamar Jackson, I just feel like we all know his ceiling, but we're not willing to admit it. Right? You see it. You see what the ceiling is going to be unless he just reinvents his game like no other quarterback has ever done before and turns into an elite pocket passer. I just don't see the ceiling there. So I have clear Kyler Murray because I think this is going to be the guy we're looking at for the next 10 to 15 years in the NFC with the Arizona Cardinals as a weapon and as a threat.
Awesome.
Yeah. I started the Kyler Murray bandwagon. As soon as I saw him play at OU, I started the fan club. I said I would draft this guy number one. People called me crazy. He got drafted number one, and he got drafted to a coach that had a losing record at a Big 12 school in Texas Tech with Cliff Kingsbury. And right now, he's probably the leading candidate for Coach of the Year, which is crazy.
I would say so.
Yeah, because what did anyone beside me? I picked them to go to the NFC Championship game. Who picked the Cardinals to win anything this year? Very few people. And right now, they are 4-2. So.
Yep, and they took down the Seahawks.
Yeah, and they take out the Seahawks in overtime. Their defense going into that game was third in the NFL. People talk a lot of crap on that defense, and it has played much better. Budda Baker, that guy is cold.
He's serious.
He is a problem.
He's serious.
When you throw the ball, you better know where he's at.
Without question.
Because he is a ball hawk right now, and he doesn't even have that many interceptions. This year he has 2. He hasn't had any before that. And all of a sudden he has turned into this legitimate top 3 in my mind safety behind Tyrann and Jamal Adams. He's something else.
I would probably put him ahead of Jamal.
Yeah, because Jamal has injury problems, it feels like.
I would. Tyrann is you can do 1 or 2 with Tyrann and Budda, but Budda's definitely top 2.
Okay.
In my mind.
All right. I'm hard-pressed to disagree with that.
Okay.
Because Budda Baker, even though it's a great name, cool name, no one knows it that well. If you're not an avid NFL fan like we are, you don't know Budda Baker's name all that well. So, all right. So we're about halfway through the year. Next show, we're going to be doing mid-season awards. We're going to be giving out mid-season awards. I kind of tipped off who my coach of the year will probably end up being. But right now, I want to do contender or pretender. Ask you guys, I'm going to give you a team. Are they a serious contender to go to the Super Bowl, or are they a pretender? Okay, I have 5 teams for you guys, okay? So, Chris, I would like for you to take this one first. The New Orleans Saints.
Pretender.
Woo!
Yeah, definitely a pretender. The reason why they're a pretender is Dennis Allen's defense, who is the defensive coordinator of the Saints, is not playing well. Where has Cam Jordan been all season long? He's been inconsistent.
Marshawn Lattimore has fallen off.
without question.
100%.
So their defense is a problem for me. Offensively, they've been hot and cold. They're obviously having some problems with their star receiver, Michael Thomas. There's been reports of possible trade. There's also been he's gotten into altercations with his teammates. The running game, Kamara's going to be there, but people are going to come into the game and try to stop him. That's what they're going to do. And unless they find some gems on offense, to me, they're definitely a pretender. They've already lost to the Packers. I don't think that they will beat a Seattle team. I don't. And I think that they will struggle against good defensive teams, which are the Rams and Chicago, and hence they play Chicago this week on the road.
Oh, nice.
So, well, I think they're a pretender in my point.
Yeah, mine will be quick because you said pretty much everything there is to do. My problem with this Saints team is their defense was so stout last year. Cam Jordan was blowing up every run play you could possibly see. Marshawn Lattimore was locking guys up. Marshawn Lattimore has almost a perfect passer rating when they target him. That is horrible.
That's bad.
In their secondary, Marcus Williams, where has he been? There's no one in that secondary right now that's playing well. Yeah. They're allowing big plays, and their offense can't come back and go blow for blow in a game. Their offense is meant for methodical drives. Take 8 to 10 minutes off the clock and eat up pretty much an entire quarter. They're not meant for that. They're not meant for the big plays that they're giving up right now. So they're just playing a game of catch-up that they don't have the weapons to play with. What do you say?
Yeah, I mean, I do like Drew Brees, but this year, I mean, they could possibly make the playoffs, but
that's fine. But are they a contender though?
Yeah, they're not a serious contender.
Okay, and that's crazy because coming to this year, they're one of the premier organizations. You know, we're all looking at them as a contender. So, okay, number 2, L.A. Rams.
I feel they are a contender. The defense looking incredible. Aaron Donald is a beast. So I feel like that alone, along with Jared Goff and his play, they made the Super Bowl, is it 2 years ago? Yeah, 2 years ago.
2 years ago.
So, I mean, I feel like I don't think they will this year, but I wouldn't be surprised if they did. So that's my take.
Okay.
I'm going to say pretender as well.
Yeah.
For the Rams.
Pretender? He said contender.
Yes, I'm going to say pretender for the Rams. I do like the Rams. I do like Aaron Donald. I do like Jalen Ramsey. I do like their defensive line. But my thing is the reason why they're a pretender is because of the running back play and Goff's inconsistency. He looks pretty good at times when he plays against the Washington football team, but then he comes back and versus the beat-up 49ers team can't get the job done. But then he comes back against Nicky Foles and the Bears and plays good football. It's the inconsistency of Goff, and it's also the lack of also the inconsistency of a running game. And their offense is about big plays and going down the field and play action. And when you can't run the ball consistently well, you can't play action. They're not going to trust it. So, to me, they are a pretender when you're talking about Tampa Bay, you're talking about Seattle, you're talking about potentially Green Bay, yeah. So, you're talking about other teams in there. I just can't see them being a contender for the Super Bowl.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think they're about 1 year away because I think they're so top-heavy. You can only mention a few players, and then after that, I feel like the talent drops off a little too much for me to really bet on them. I mean, their second-best pass rusher, Michael Brockers, who was good. Then you go down to the third, Leonard Floyd. That doesn't, they had a guy, he starts with an O, Awuzie or Awuzie, however you say it. Right, it was something like that. I'm not blown away by the amount of talent. They're not very deep. They're so top-heavy. I think they're about 1 or 2 years away from filling out the rest of this roster. I like the offense. Like you said, they are very inconsistent, but their offensive line play needs to be a little bit better, and they need a running back. Who's their running back? Is it Cam Akers? Is it
Henderson?
Right, is it Henderson? It just seems like they are in between running backs right now. So once they get that, I think that they will be a legitimate contender. But I'm just not. They're a good team. I'm just not ready to buy a Super Bowl run yet for the Rams.
Absolutely.
All right, number 3, the most perplexing team in my eyes, a 3-3 Las Vegas Raiders team.
Yeah.
Contender or pretender?
Pretender.
I mean, that's not a hot take because they're 500, but
yeah, I believe it's a pretender.
Okay.
They did have a very surprising win against the Chiefs this year, but so I'm not gonna lie, they had me fooled for a second.
Yeah.
But I think reality is starting to kick in.
Right.
I think they'll still have a decent record. I don't think they'll make the playoffs. I don't.
Okay.
But yeah, I feel like everything's starting to settle in. They're starting to cool off a little bit. Yeah, as like the season goes on, because one thing we cannot do is judge too early, based off like wins in the earlier part of the season. I think everyone's still getting adjusted, and I feel like the Raiders are now, they were hot especially after knocking down the Super Bowl champions. But yeah, now things are starting to calm down. So
I'll go ahead and I'll go out a little bit out of order here real quick, but 100% pretender. I mean, there's no way I ever bought into this team, because it's the same thing we saw last year. Was you got a good offense, you can run the ball, you can pretty much do whatever you want with this offensive line. The wide receivers are now you have a better options of wide receiver core versus last year. Derek Carr's looked better. I still don't buy in Derek Carr. And the defense is still bad. The defense still gives up the big play that you don't want. And the pass rush, Max Crosby, Cleveland Farrell, that was a waste of a pick. I'm gonna go ahead and say it. I don't like declaring guys as a bust, but Cleveland Farrell, you doesn't have anything special. And if you're drafted number 4 and you don't have a definitive trait, are you a power, speed? Do you like finesse moves? Do you like power moves? He doesn't have any of that. I don't know what he's good at. So the pass rush still needs to get better. The linebacking core is one of the best in the NFL, but they're giving up the big plays in the secondary. Jonathan Abram needs to stay healthy this year, and maybe they can have a better defense. But right now, it's the same old story as a John Gruden team.
I'll just simply say you got the Bills, the Chiefs, the Steelers, the Titans, the Ravens. You have too many teams.
Yeah, the AFC is much better than the NFC this
without
year.
question.
Yeah.
You have too many teams that's immensely more talented than the Raiders. A couple of those teams I mentioned have already beaten the Raiders this year.
Yeah.
So, yes, are we all in agreement? 100% pretender. Let's move on.
They may have an impressive 3 wins, but their 3 losses are equally as disappointing. So, last one, and we'll move on to NBA and MLB talk. Arizona Cardinals. I'm going to go ahead and start real quick. Again, I 100% think they're a legitimate contender. This defense is very, very underrated. People look at the Cardinals and they just assume their defense is bad because Cliff Kingsbury's their coach. Vance Joseph has coached this defense up, and they have been really good. I mean, 24 points to the Seattle Seahawks. I'll live. They're one of the best offenses in the NFL. I'll live with that. Chandler Jones needs to stay healthy in order for that to keep happening. Budda Baker has been the best safety in the NFL, along with Tyrann Mathieu this year. They both played really well. And Kyler Murray's the X factor, man. He is just putting this team on his shoulders. He's putting this team over the top. Kenyon Drake is a leading rusher. He's a top 5 leading rusher in the NFL right now. D-Hop is doing his thing. Larry Fitzgerald is leading this team as well. I love everything I like. Everything I love about the Cardinals is what I want to see in a contender. So, yes.
I love everything you just said, Griff. To me, it's 52-48 contender, and I'm splitting it.
Okay.
I'm really close
Because they can be pretty average at times.
They can.
Yeah.
That's the thing, and it's gonna be. You said something. You said Kyler Murray. He is the X factor. He plays great. This team looks awesome. Look like they can win a division.
Yeah.
When he plays horrible, though, it goes bad, really bad.
Yeah.
So he is the X factor for me. I am gonna say contender. But I'm
52-48.
52-48.
Yeah, right.
I
Okay.
can't go all in. If you told me to go all in, I can't do it.
Here's the thing. I've been all in since preseason, so why would I stop now?
I understand.
Yeah. Same with the Browns. What do you think?
I'm going to say they're not ready yet. All right. Like, I wouldn't say this year.
Okay.
I do still feel like they could contend this year, but just not yet. I feel like there's a little more experience that needs to be in there. But I feel like next year they'll come back heavier, a heavy hitter. Because, like, just like how you said, how Kyler can be average at times, I think that'll wear off with time. I think he'll be more confident in his throwing, and then also become have a better IQ as far as taking those chances and those risks with those throws. But as far as this season, they're just getting back, they're just becoming a really good winning team. So yeah, I don't think this year is the year for them.
And even if that is the case, where they aren't ready yet, here's the great thing about it: they are all very young. Kyler, D-Hop, Larry Fitz is the only kind of old head on this team. You're going to replace your O-line here in a few years. D-line is very young, and the safeties, Budda Baker, very young. Patrick Peterson is a veteran, but you have a lot of young players on this team. So, all right, let's move on. Let's get some MLB talk, because we might run out of time, and I feel like we have to talk about the World Series last night, LA Dodgers winning the World Series over the Tampa Bay Rays 4-2. So Kershaw finally wins his first World Series. In your guys' eyes, does this lift the Kershaw curse of the postseason? Because he had a good series, but his playoff performances weren't exactly terrific because he was injured for a lot of it.
Yeah.
And in the past, so.
I will say, for me, I guess so. It's kind of just like he has a ring now. A lot of legends throughout sports, period, feel the need to get a ring to cement their legacy.
Mm-hmm.
And he finally has that. So it's not necessarily about all those bad performances because now he has something to come back at you with. He's like, I have a ring.
Yeah.
So I feel like the ring kind of levels out that criticism there.
Okay.
Sort.
I would definitely say that, yeah, it definitely takes away his curse. He did pitch well in this World Series.
Yeah.
He did pitch well in this series. But like I said, I don't know a champion who hasn't went through some kind of battle-tested adversity as far as losses before you become a champion. And he's done that. And he deserves this. Like I said, he's redeemed himself. And moving forward, now he knows what is going to require to be a champion. It's back injuries and all. You're going to have to step up to the plate. This series he did.
Yeah. I would say it doesn't change my opinion of him in terms of how he is in the postseason because I'm just saying he is not the same guy in the postseason. Now, I know he's had a great series, and that should not wipe away everything else, though. That should not wipe away previous outings. I'm glad he won it because the reason we're talking about it is because Clayton Kershaw is one of the greatest pitchers we have ever seen. And we would not be talking about this if this was Max Scherzer like last year. Oh, is Max Scherzer going to win his title? No, it's Clayton Kershaw because he has been so historically dominant at all facets of pitching throughout the regular season. But in the postseason, we had some struggles.
So-so.
Yeah, right, exactly. And a lot of it is due to injury. He gets injured at the wrong times, and it's his back almost every time. He has bad back. We get older. I mean, I'm old, So maybe I wake up, my back isn't 100%. But the point is, he is a champion now. It's going to wipe away a lot of people's opinion of his postseason performances. Not quite mine. I'm glad he won it, but I still need to see more. I need better stat lines. Like I know I'm not much of a stat counter, but I need some better stat lines to consider you an all-time postseason guy, and he's just not quite there yet. But I'm glad he won it. I'm not glad the Dodgers won it, but I'm glad he won it. Speaking of, Kevin Cash last night, if you guys were watching the game, yanks Blake Snell in the 6th inning after one hit, after a single, or two, or after one hit in the inning. Yeah, and just yanks him. Why? Why did he do? Why? You ever seen that meme? Why? Why did he do that?
I don't know, fam. I don't know why he did that at all. You know what I'm saying? But for me, I got to keep it real. Kevin Cash just outmanaged himself. I mean, that's just all it is.
That's a good point.
Blake Snell had 9 Ks heading into the 6th inning. He only surrendered 2 hits the entire game. He had the L.A. Dodgers batters fooled for most of the game. He only was at 73 pitches. Let's take that into account. We are talking about the World Series.
Yeah.
This is it. There's nothing else. There's no other round. There's no other round you go to. If you're going to go down, you got to go down with the guy that brought you to the dance. And Blake Snell is definitely that guy. He is your ace. 73 pitches and you pull him?
In the middle of the 6th. In the top of the 6th inning, 73 pitches is called par for the course. That's fine. You are not ahead. You are not behind. It's perfect.
And they were up 1-0. Mind you, they had the lead.
Yes.
And it was 1 out with 1 on. That's it. So it's not to say he couldn't have got out the inning, but if I have a horse like a Clayton Kershaw, a Max Scherzer, a Jacob deGrom, a dominant number 1 pitcher, we're going down with him.
Yes.
We're not going to pull him and say, okay, bullpen, take us home.
Right.
We're not doing it.
Listen, they have the best bullpen in the MLB, but it's still you want to leave him out there, and if he blows it, then you lost with your horse.
Right.
If he wins, you create an all-time legend in Blake Snell. You create a guy that is now Madison Bumgarner type status to where you put him in the postseason, he's going to go get you a win. That is what starting pitchers in the history of MLB and baseball have done. but the theory of numbers and analytics have clouded that so much
Without question.
that we overvalue a bullpen and overvalue these relief pitchers. Blake Snell was not giving that run up last night. Yeah, he gave up a hit. He was on first base. He was not giving that run up, and he ended up giving 2 in that game, and it ended up giving 3 total, and that ended up losing them the World Series. You die with your horse, or you let him become a legend. And if Blake Snell had gone through that game and ended up being a 1-0 game, and Blake Snell went CG or went 8 and you had somebody close it out, you have created a legend, and you have created an all-time World Series moment. But you take that away the minute you overmanage yourself, just like Chris said.
Yeah, real quick before I let Jordan go, if we're talking game 1 or game 2 of this World Series, we're not talking about this question. We're not.
Right. It's an elimination
game.
Yes.
That's why we're talking about it. You got to go down with the horse that you can that brought you to the dance. It's inexcusable.
Most definitely. Blake Snell definitely should have been kept in. Basically, you kind of gave up your only chance at momentum there because, if they would have won last night, I feel like not only if you would have created a legend, but also that would have been a complete switch of momentum. We saw it happen with the Braves.
Yeah.
Typically, when you lose that game 6, it's a whole lot different game going into game 7 when you had the lead, knowing that you didn't close them out. That's why I was a little bit iffy when I saw the Dodgers-Braves series. When they lost game 6, I was like, oh, it's over.
Yeah.
So, I don't know if that would have been the case, but it would have been a whole lot more pressure on the Dodgers had Blake Snell led a comeback.
Okay. I got a last question for you, and then we'll probably start our segments here in the second hour. Should this World Series win, with all of that all these teams, all the adversity they had to fight, just like NBA, just like NFL teams right now through COVID and everything like that, should this World Series be a relief for the Dodgers, given their past performances in the World Series, or should it be a celebration?
I'll start off on this one.
And when I say a celebration, I mean, should we celebrate them versus them?
Well, we definitely should. Definitely celebrate the Dodgers, but I also think it's a relief for them because when you have the kind of payroll that they have, when you have the kind of collapses that they've had in the postseason and losses they have in the postseason, sometimes it is a relief because they came in being the best team in MLB, the favorite team to win. And when you're favored to win and you don't win, it's always a disappointment. This year, they did their job, shortened season, they won, and they did what they had to do. So I think it's more of we definitely should celebrate them as far as, this being a very dominant team and one of the best teams ever assembled and put together. But we also should understand that, hey, this is a relief off our shoulders because we expected to win. We came, we saw, we conquered, and we did.
Right. That is the key word right there at the end. Expectations with this team. I am not celebrating this team whatsoever. Listen, you beat a team that you had $100 million more in the budget for. Mm-hmm. You should have won past World Series. This should be 100% a relief. You got the best. I don't want to say Mookie's the best player, but he played in the World Series like he was. He is on a short list of best players in the MLB.
Yeah.
You added that. You already had maybe the best player in the MLB, Cody Bellinger.
2 MVPs on the same team.
Clayton Kershaw, an all-time pitcher. Walker Buehler, one of the best NL pitchers. And you had a bullpen toward the end you didn't like, but played well in the World Series, especially Arias at the end.
Yes.
I'm not celebrating this Los Angeles Dodgers team. They should have beat the Rays. They should have won past World Series. If we were in a fight and I have nothing and Chris right here has a machine gun, if Chris kills me, are we giving Chris credit? No, because you were armed and ready. Mm-hmm. You had everything you needed to.
But here's the thing. If I do have that machine gun and I don't know how to shoot and work it and I miss you.
That's your fault.
That's right. And see, we can't – the Dodgers had the best teams for multiple years, and they didn't win.
Right.
The best team don't always win. So we criticize them when they don't win, but when they do win and they show up and they play the teams that they play, you can't have one and then not have the other.
I can in baseball. Okay. NBA and NFL is completely different because they all play on the same field.
Okay.
The MLB is not. The Rays had one hand behind their back coming into this World Series. You ever watch Moneyball?
I have.
There are rich teams, there are poor teams. Then there's 50 feet of crap, then there's us. Okay, that's exactly what this is. Tampa Bay is one of the smallest organizations in baseball. If this were LeBron James versus the Orlando Magic, say that finals happened, I will give LeBron James for the win because he played on the same playing field that the Orlando Magic did, and he beat them. MLB is not that at all. So if you are able to buy a World Series, I will not give you credit. I'm sorry.
The Yankees couldn't do it. The Yankees, they pay all kind of money, and the Rays beat them in the series.
Right, exactly.
Right.
So that's credit to the Rays.
Exactly.
And the Yankees need to be better. Go spend more money, I guess. If that's what you think is solving the problem, go spend some more money because I know you have it, and the Rays don't. And the Rays still beat you.
They did.
So I don't credit the rich teams in the MLB because it is not a fair game that they play. I favor the underdogs because the Phillies can buy anybody they want. The Dodgers can buy anybody they want. These small teams like the Tampa Bay Rays are farm systems for these bigger teams. So for me to look at the Dodgers and be impressed by what they should have done 3 years ago, they should have 3 rings right now, I would be lying. Okay. So I'm not impressed by the Dodgers win. I'm not impressed by big markets buying World Series because it's easy to do, but it doesn't happen very often because that is not what baseball is built upon.
I feel the same way. I feel like we all agree. It's a bit of a relief because Dodgers were supposed to win.
Yeah.
I mean, I was hopeful for the Rays. I like to root for the underdog, but we all knew, somewhat was about to happen. Now, it shouldn't be too celebrated because the Rays. I mean, just on paper, they're a better team, and then Jordan brought up the budget. Budget-wise, they've been pretty much up there in the MLB over the past few years. So.
The Dodgers.
The Dodgers. Yeah, Dodgers been pretty much up there. Rays, they were just like the underdog fighting with heart. But at the end, the roster and the budget won in this case.
Yeah. And I know it's not fair to the Dodgers or to any of these big market teams, but it's not fair that the other team has to play with one arm behind their back either. So when you are hindered with a lack of a budget, I'm not impressed by a team that has an inflated budget beating you. I'm not impressed by that team winning, and it's not fair to them. But guess what? I don't care.
I hear your point, and
yes.
you make a great point. Is just the fact that those teams with the bigger budgets don't always win, and they just you look at the team like the Royals. 5 years ago, they won the World Series.
Yes.
You look at the team previous to that.
The Nationals last year, they're not a big market like Chicago or L.A. They're not like that.
Nationals as well. So it's. You do have some credence to what you're talking about, but I look at it as those teams don't always win because money can't buy you championships. No matter how you spend, you still got to go out there and do the work, and they still have to kind of grind through this series with the Rays.
Of course. I'm not saying they didn't deserve it. Right. That's definitely not what I'm saying.
You're saying celebrate.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna celebrate it because I'm gonna criticize you if you don't win. And I'm going to celebrate you when you do win.
Okay.
That's just my opinion.
That's fair. And I'm definitely on the unfair side of this, and I acknowledge that. But I can wrap my arms around a team like the Washington Nationals or the Kansas City Royals or the San Francisco Giants. Giants, never mind. They're a pretty high budget team. I take that back. But small market teams, Tampa Bay Rays, I can wrap my arms around them because they are playing, once again, with one arm behind their back in an unfair fight. Okay. So I am going to judge the big market teams unfairly. That is my response.
Okay, I can dig it.
All right. I'm glad we finally dig it, right?
We
finally found the dig. All right. Okay, we are in our second hour. It is 3:02, and we are rolling here on the Swoop every Wednesday from 2 to 4. All right. Fact or fiction, fellas? Got a brand new ones up for you. Are you guys tied at 8 and 12?
Yeah. I had a bad week last week.
Yeah. Okay. You guys are really good at this game, by the way, just so you know.
Thank you.
Okay. I tried. All right. Are we ready, fellas?
You ready?
Yep.
Why you got your phone out all of a sudden? Huh? Oh, okay. All right. It better stay on that page. Better stay on that Google Doc. Yeah. I don't play that in here. No. Are you an Astros fan? No.
Cheater.
All right. Number one. If you folded a piece of paper 42 times, it would reach the moon, or that if you were on the surface of Venus, you would be crushed immediately into the ground.
I'm gonna go with that Venus thing.
The Venus thing.
Yeah.
Well, I'll read it again for you. If you folded a piece of paper 42 times, it would reach the moon, or that if you were on the surface of Venus, you would be crushed immediately into the ground.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to go with Venus.
You're going to sit
Venus.
in the mic. Okay, you're both going with Venus. You're both wrong. Oh, yes.
42 times.
If you fold a piece of paper 42 times, because you can only fold it 7 manually. Then after that,
Oh, wow.
I mean, obviously you'd have to have the world's biggest piece of paper to do it, but
Yeah.
that is the fact.
Okay.
The fact that I had changed is actually that's on Mercury. If you were on Mercury's surface, you would be crushed immediately because the atmosphere is so thick.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
It also rains diamonds there. Yeah.
Wow.
It is it's the scariest place in the world. That's not even in the world actually. It's in the galaxy.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
I'm big into this astronomy stuff, just so you guys
I
know.
can see that.
Yep.
I can see that.
Yep. I took a class back in my other college. I pretty much know everything there is to know about it.
Wow.
Yep.
You're gonna be the next Neil Armstrong, huh?
Neil Armstrong. Yep. I'm more of a fan of Lance.
Okay.
I like bicycling more.
I understand.
Yeah. All right, number 2. So you're both 0 for 1. That's a great start for me.
Yeah.
Great start for me.
Yeah.
Number 2. North Korea and Finland are only separated by 2 countries, or that Monsters, Inc. came out closer to the fall of the Berlin Wall than it did to 2020.
I'm gonna need you to repeat that one more.
All right, number 2. North Korea and Finland are only separated by 2 countries, or that Monsters, Inc. came out closer to the fall of the Berlin Wall than it did to 2020. So it came out closer to that date than it does to today. Or is North Korea and Finland only separated by 2 countries?
I'm gonna go ahead and say I don't even know. But I'm gonna just take a guess. Monsters Inc. is where I'm gonna go.
I love your lack of confidence, but with confidence.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
Yeah.
It's hard to do.
A lot of thought into this one.
Yeah. I'm going to go with the North Korea and Finland one.
Monsters Inc. is the correct answer. Yes.
Yeah, I knew them countries wasn't close. You know what I'm saying?
You know what? You know what's even crazier? They're only separated by 1 country. That's Russia. You can get from Finland,
Wow.
go all the way across to Russia, and you can get to North Korea.
I was wrong.
Yep. he said, I know there's more countries, and there's only 1. There's less.
Well, I was right and wrong.
Yeah.
On the same answer.
All right, so 0-2 so far. You need to kind of pick it back up, man. Okay. Number 3. Bill Gates still lives in a $70,000 home that he originally bought in his 20s, or that baby elephants stick their trunks in their mouth and suck on them like a binky. I'm not repeating it. I'm not repeating
I don't
it.
even want you to repeat.
Yeah, I'm
Cause I'm already shook. We gonna go with Bill Gates, cause I don't know nothing about no baby elephants. So we gonna go with Bill Gates.
okay.
Yeah, I'm going with Bill Gates too.
Incorrect. It is the baby elephants.
I'll take that L. I would definitely take that L, man.
Man, Jordan, you went 0 for 3 today.
You did.
Wow. That is tough. That is tough. Okay. We are on to our next segment, underrated, overrated. I got 3 topics for you guys. I want you to tell me underrated, overrated, and we'll do that for about 10 minutes. So, first one is for Chris.
Okay.
Underrated, overrated. We were just talking about it. MLB payroll.
It's definitely overrated, without question, in my mind, because you have some teams that can spend a whole lot of money and some teams that can't. They don't have a salary cap either, I believe, in MLB. I mean, a guy like Mike Trout is getting $435 million, but at the same time, his team is never making the playoffs. So I don't know if you want to pay somebody that large to never see the postseason.
Let me go with, I kind of want to rephrase it because I feel like you're talking more about players. How about team payrolls? Like Dodgers or because the Angels have somewhat of a high payroll, but Trout is the one that inflates it the most.
Without question. Well, yeah, to me, still overrated. Because
Okay.
like I said, there's some big market teams like we talked about with the LAs, the Dodgers, the San Francisco, and other teams, and then you have the small markets like the Kansas Cities, the Milwaukees, and different teams like that. It's just the payroll is so differential with that. It does give an advantage to the bigger markets of having the better players and having more money to spend. So, yeah, I definitely think it's overrated.
I will go with overrated. I'm going to kind of answer two of them here. It's overrated in terms of production so far, but I think it's underrated in terms of you are taking players away from other teams. That is what I think is most important, is because these guys are spending so much money on players they probably shouldn't. Just because you have all that money doesn't mean you should spend all that money. And they will give out 10-year contracts to guys who are expired through 5 years of it. So it's underrated in kind of the eyes of other teams, because I'm a Kansas City Royals fan. I look up at the Yankees, the Phillies, the LA teams, and I everybody, and I hate them because it is an uneven playing field because they take all of the players that we have. And listen, San Diego's a big market too. San Diego pays a lot. They may not be a big market, but they have a high payroll. What they paid Eric Hosmer. I was fine with letting Eric Hosmer go, trust me. But that's kind of an example of you get some good years out of the guys, and then they go get paid elsewhere. That is underrated because you are taking competition away, and you are putting it on their team. But in terms of production, it is overrated because you do have small market teams win all the time. Baseball, the turnover of the roster is just too great to overcome, with just money. So you have to have a good farm system year in and year out in order to get new guys in and old guys out. What do you think?
All right, I think it's overrated too. Yeah, it's kind of just like pretty much what you and Chris already covered. I feel like it is unfair. It's a lot more unfair than other sports like like NBA and NFL.
Yeah, because they all have the same amount.
Yeah, because they can just pay away and get all the pretty much get the best players in the league. And it's more of a if a smaller team does win the World Series, it's got to be with a lot of heart and a lot of perfect play.
Yes, because they don't have the margin for error that these big teams do.
Yeah,
their best batters are going to be 3 through 5, whereas the Dodgers don't have a single hole in that lineup. 1 through 9. I mean, it's incredible. It's incredible how much they can spend to pay these players, and they can still lose. But then they win. I'm not going to celebrate it, but that's just the sport of baseball, man. It is so unpredictable. Number 2, Teddy Bridgewater. Take it, man.
Dang, that's tough. I'm gonna say underrated.
Okay.
I haven't tuned into him like that, but from what I've seen, I mean, I really saw him play against the Falcons. But from what I've seen, I think he's a
Oh, Jordan.
he's a pretty good player. I've seen him play. Oh yeah, also I saw him play.
Just the way you say some things just makes me laugh.
Yeah. I've seen him play last year too. So yeah, I think he's overall a good quarterback.
Yeah,
he's not great or anything, but I feel like he is underrated in the NFL discussion.
I am 2 for 2 for underrated with Jordan. Teddy Bridgewater is definitely, to me, an underrated quarterback. He can throw the deep ball. He can make all the intermediate throws. He's also efficient. One of the things he doesn't do, you don't see him turn over the ball a lot. And he's one of those guys that is a perfect title for game manager.
Yes,
perfect title for game manager. Like, he manages the game just so well. He gets points, whether it's 3 or whether it's 6 or 7. He's a guy that you can rally around. He's a positive guy, too, and a great leader.
Yes.
People don't look at him and put him in the great leader quarterback conversation. And obviously, is he like the Mahomes or the Rodgers or the Bradys? No, he's not going to be up there. But he's still on the top half of the better quarterbacks in the league because there's only
the bottom half.
Than the bottom half.
Right.
And that's just my opinion.
Yeah. I think there is a perfect NFL comp out there for Teddy Bridgewater, and that is Alex Smith. You look at both of those guys. Alex Smith moved a little bit more than Teddy. Teddy is not a runner. Teddy is a pure pocket guy. But both those guys are extraordinarily accurate in the short to medium sort of routes. They don't lose you games. Maybe they don't win you as many games as you want to, but either way, you can build around them to a certain point. They have playmakers in Carolina, and that offense is humming right now without Christian McCaffrey. Wait until they get him back. So Teddy Bridgewater is certainly underrated for me because I think he's looked at as more of a limited quarterback than he is looked at as a winner. And Teddy Bridgewater is a winner in my eyes. He's a smart guy. Again, doesn't lose you any games. And like you said, he is a tremendous leader that Matt Rule wants to build around this guy. And I think they can. And I think they can win some playoff games. Super Bowl.
No, let's just say no.
Yeah.
We can say no.
Yeah, because I didn't think Alex Smith could win one. And I think Teddy Bridgewater is as good as Alex Smith, maybe a little less. So I'll say no with Teddy Bridgewater. But if he is the bridge.
Wow.
If he is the bridge to your next quarterback, that's great because that is a guy that's going to get you wins, and he's not going to ever put you in the hole. That is what I love about Teddy Bridgewater.
Both of them had devastating leg injuries too.
That is
and Teddy Bridgewater.
Wow.
Yeah. To come back from. This
might be the most accurate NFL comp I could probably come up with.
Absolutely.
Yeah. All right, number 3. I'm very interested in this one for you guys. Devin Booker, underrated, overrated?
I'll take this one, Jordan. He's underrated. There's no question about it in my mind. He's one of the best shooters in the league.
Yep.
If he was playing on a team, on a playoff team, like the Lakers, champions, or if he was playing with the Miami Heat, and he would be a 25 to 30 point average player contending for a title. Because he plays in Phoenix and he does not get the shine, they're on the West Coast and people don't really pay attention to him. He's a good player, but he's been an all-star. This guy got paid handsomely for a reason, a big-time contract.
Is he in the elite level of players in your eyes?
I would say of shooting guards, yes. But if you say top 10 as far as overall, it's borderline. It's borderline top 10. But shooting guards, he's definitely up there as one of the best in the league. Without question.
Yeah, for sure.
Yes.
But here's my problem with Devin Booker. I'm going to go with overrated.
Talk to me.
Because if we're talking about if he is a top 10, top 12 sort of player like you're talking about, that should automatically get you to at least a playoff berth, right?
No. Not necessarily.
Name a top 10 to top 12 player that cannot get to the playoffs. And by the way, can't even sniff the playoffs. He doesn't even get close. Now the reason I'm saying overrated is because I do put him in that upper echelon. And so I expect more of him, and I expect more of a performance from his team. I understand the lack of talent that he's had since he's been there, but it's getting to a point to where it's like, okay, either you leave or this is what you want to be.
Right.
Because he is not a good enough player to get you to the playoffs. That has been clear because he is balling out. He's scoring his 20 to 30 points a game, and they're still not even sniffing the playoffs, man.
Okay, so let me ask you this. Out of the top 10 players that we name, is there anybody playing with as less of talent that he is of the top 10?
No.
Right. So
right, but I will contest if I put any of those top 10 players on other teams, they would make the playoffs.
On Phoenix, if you put any of those top 10 players on Phoenix just by themselves, because if you say
yes,
we'll say Kevin Durant, he's playing with what? He's always played with great players. He now has Kyrie. He's played with Russell Westbrook, and then you have James Harden. He's playing with Russell Westbrook. Now he didn't have Russell before this season, but he had Chris Paul, which was still a pretty good point guard. If you put him on Phoenix, do they make the playoffs?
Yes.
You think so?
I think so.
I don't think so.
Because James Harden has been there by himself for the Rockets and gotten playoff wins. So, yeah, but I'm not comparing James Harden. That's not what it's about.
Right, no. I know what you're saying.
The reason I'm saying overrated is because I do think he's special, and I do think he is that good.
Yeah.
But I'm looking at these other guys that are doing the same thing, and they are making the playoffs. Okay. Anthony Davis was by himself. And listen, the Pelicans were not a very talented team, but he got to the playoffs, whether it was sneaking in or whether they got the 3 seed. They got to the playoffs. Not consistently, not every single year, but they got there. Devin Booker, my problem is that he hasn't even sniffed the playoffs. That's my big issue. If you haven't gotten the playoffs, okay, if you're a borderline team, John Morant in his rookie year almost got to the playoffs. And I wouldn't say that Memphis Grizzlies have a ton more talent than the Phoenix Suns do.
That is the argument I can't really battle against with that one. You're right about that.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he's overrated too. I feel like ever since he scored 70 in a loss, by the way.
See, I'm not there. That's not.
Yeah.
I'm not there.
I mean,
not there.
I think Devin Booker is a really good player, but I feel like we put way too much pressure on him, and like I feel like as far as the media eyes, like he's referencing rap songs and this and that. I feel like Devin Booker he's got to prove something. He's got to show me a playoff.
Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Yeah,
that's where I'm at.
I'm like yeah, kind of like how you said he's not even ninth. This year they went on a run in the bubble, but this year like that would never happen in a regular season setting.
Yeah.
It never has. And they started off pretty well this year, but then reality started to kick in. So I think Devin Booker, he's pretty good, and also I think if he was on like a contender like the Lakers and things like that, he wouldn't put up as many points.
Right.
I feel like he's able to get the ball more because he's on such a bad team, and they depend on him more because it's such a bad team.
Yeah.
But if he was on a team like the Lakers, Clippers, he would probably he would be a 20 point per game guy, 19 points, something like that.
Yeah. The argument for me is either he is the upper echelon players and he can get you to the playoffs, or he needs to be the second or third best player on your team. Because what he's doing right now just isn't acceptable if I'm going to put him up there. So I need him to either push for the playoffs, just get in, 8 seed. Yeah, it's not that hard. I know the West is difficult, but just get an 8 seed one time, and then maybe we can talk. Because right now, if I'm going to put him in the top 10 to 12 players, which I think, by the way, scoring ability, he is top 3 in the NBA in my eyes on some nights. Okay, let me back it up. Top 5. I'll go with that because I don't have the exact list. I don't have the exact list in my head. I got a little too excited. Either way, he's a top guy. Okay, let's leave it there.
Okay.
And for that to happen, you need to be able to get to the playoffs. And I need you to show me that it's not just empty calories. It's just not empty points that you're scoring in losses.
I hear your point, and you make great points. It's just not as easy as said as done. If I look at the teams in the West, I'm thinking Minnesota, who didn't make the playoffs, they're better. I'm thinking teams like they're just as good as maybe a Memphis, who didn't make the playoffs this year.
New Orleans,
they're an exciting team. They may be even better because they got a up and coming superstar. That's what I'm looking at. I'm looking at the teams and the talent that they have, and what the talent that Devin Booker's playing with, and what they're asking. You're right. What they're asking him to do, Jordan, as far as being a scorer, being a top guy. But at the same time, it's just not as easy said as done. Basketball has to be a team sport. It got to be a complementary set of pieces.
I understand that, but for not even sniffing the playoffs, I'm gonna have to re-rank him.
Okay.
That's my problem.
I can respect it.
Because if I'm going to put these guys in this situation, put them on a very average team like he's playing with right now,
right?
What would the results be? And for those top guys, it's better than what Devin Booker's doing in Phoenix right now.
Okay. I can dig it.
Yeah.
And don't get started on DeAndre Ayton either. Man, not living up to it.
Okay, yeah. Yeah. Oh, DeAndre Ayton, don't even get me started. Oh, man. Yeah, that's
it's not a name worth mentioning.
That's a real conversation starter. All right. Are we ready for top what? No, okay, you guys have not responded. What? No, apparently not.
5.
So you are off. What's your record?
Oh,
I don't even know. You got to write it down, man.
I do. I have it written down at home. I am 3 of 5.
By the way, I don't believe you. I don't think you have it written down at home. I don't. I believe your record, but I do not believe you have it written down at home.
Oh yeah, I got it on a nice sticky note, right?
Okay.
Yeah, sticky note.
Send me a picture when you get home.
I'll take it.
Okay.
I'll take it. I promise you.
All right. Are you ready, Jordan? You need to win. You need to win. You need at least one of these. All right. Number 1. So if you're not familiar with top what, I'll explain it real quick. You are going to have to guess. I'm going to give you a player and a statistical category. You guess that player. Is he a top 3, top 5, or top 10, or top nothing? Anything outside the top 10 is top nothing in that specific category. So number 1 for you guys. Willie Mays in hits. Top 3, top 5, top 10, or top nothing?
I'm gonna say top nothing on this one.
Top nothing. Now keep in mind how long he played. he played almost 2 decades. Now you are 0-5, so think carefully.
Top 5.
Okay. Well, the winless streak continues. It is top nothing. He is number 11 out of 10. So
I know I do this. Do this.
Chris gonna go home and scribble on the sticky note. Okay, you got
That's
one.
4
win.
out of 6. I'm gonna put 4 out of 6 on that.
That's pretty impressive.
Yeah.
This is not a game that you're supposed to have a high percentage in.
That's 67%.
Okay. Well, that one is easy, but that one was easy. Okay.
Right.
But you're pretty good at that. I'll
Thank
give
you.
you that.
I appreciate that.
All right, number 2, Robert Parrish in games played.
Oh.
Okay, if you know it, don't say it.
I think I got it.
Wait for Chris to go then.
I'm gonna definitely say top 5.
Okay.
Top 3.
You're correct. He is
Yeah.
top 3. He is number 1. Number 1.
I know he played a lot of years. He did.
Yep.
He did. But injuries and stuff. I don't know how many. 82.
Yep, he is number 1. That was a surprise to me, so I figured I'd put that on there.
I got one.
All right,
Yeah.
yes. 1 of 6.
Yes.
Let's go. Or
That's
7.
1 of 7.
1 of 7. Yes.
I'm
What's the
4 of
percentage?
7.
Percentage.
For him,
1 of 7.
14.
Is it? How do you do that?
I mean,
Maybe I'm
listen,
stupid, which
no,
it probably is.
Well, some people are special, and then some people are not.
Well, yeah, let's move on. How about that? Number 3, Rasheed Wallace in personal fouls.
Oh, this is top nothing to me.
Really?
Yeah, I think
Okay.
Top 10.
He is unfortunately top nothing.
Ah.
Yep. Chris gets this one again. He just didn't play enough years. That was his
Right,
problem. He
right.
didn't play long enough. But he does lead the NBA in technical fouls
Right.
by a wide margin.
That's why when I saw
Yeah.
personal, I'm like, nah, that's
yeah,
not it.
technical fouls. He is by far and away
Yeah,
number 1.
yeah.
That is Rasheed Wallace's game.
So
It's
you
getting
just,
teed
you
up.
just came down to 12%.
But
From
hey,
14.
but hey, man, you got one.
Yes, you
you
did.
got one.
You got one.
What's your sticky note going to say after this?
It's gonna say 5 out of 8. It's gonna say 62%. And y'all don't need to ask me how I know these percentages. I'm just boss like that.
What if you're lying to us?
Well, there is a calculator. People can look
Yeah,
on
but
your
here's
phones.
the thing. Why should I fact check you?
Exactly.
You know? Like
why
why should I go out of my way
Why
to
should
try
you?
and correct something you're saying? So,
Exactly, because it's boss with it. Whenever I say it, it's like
the more you talk about it, the less I believe you.
really 5
Yeah.
out of 8 is 0.620, 62%.
Is this normal, Jordan? Is this normal?
I think my dad can do that. Like, I think there are just some people who just got. There are some people who just got it like that in their the math. Like they can just do it.
All right, real quick before we move on to the next segment. 21 of 33. Nope.
That's a 63%.
Are you serious? Let me look at this.
He does that with the pass.
Yeah, because it could be reduced to 7 over 11. 7 over 12 is 58. 7 over 11 is 63.
Whatever. Let's move on. Let's move on. It was a stupid question anyways. I don't even know why I took time to even say
I
that.
told you I'm boss with it.
That's just
That's with 3 S's.
Well, you may be able to do math, but you sure cannot spell. Because there are not 3 S's.
Hey,
Okay.
we're going to move on from that.
All right. Jordan, coaching segment. Take it away, man.
So it's Jordan. I'm here with Coach's Spotlight.
Yes.
And today, I just wanted it to be a special day for the Brooklyn Nets. As plenty of you guys know, Brooklyn Nets hired Steve Nash as the head coach, even though he has no coaching experience whatsoever. He was a great player, and now I heard most recently they hired Amari Stoudemire as an assistant. So what I'm concerned with is what are we heading into as far as the locker room this year for the Brooklyn Nets? We already heard Kyrie saying, basically that he's fine without a coach, that he wants to basically run over whoever is in that coaching position.
Yeah, I don't think you can do that to Amari Stoudemire.
Yeah. Now,
Steve
Amari
Nash,
Stoudemire-
maybe. I could run him over. Amari
Yeah.
Stoudemire? Okay.
Yeah. So that might be a little different now, but I feel like there might be a lot of like just bad chemistry going into this next season. Now, talent-wise, they got it. KD and Kyrie, automatic playoff contender, automatic championship contender with those names. But as far as the coaching staff being able to keep those two in check, because we also know KD can be, he can be problematic at times as well.
Yeah.
So with those two, and I feel like they're really going to try and get their way. I feel like this is I feel like Steve Nash was the wrong guy. And I'm going to say that already. I haven't even seen him coach before, but I feel like with this type of team, you want someone with championship or at least a lot of playoff experience, like someone like a Doc Rivers or a Nate McMillan or even Stan Van Gundy, someone known for getting players in check and someone known for I guess that's why they got Amari Stoudemire.
Well, you notice something about all those other previous coaches, though, is they frequently get fired.
Yeah, they do.
I'm just saying. I mean, listen, you may be right. I'm just pointing that out, is they frequently are let go. So, I mean, hey.
Yeah, that is true as well. But so when I saw the position open, Steve Nash was one of the last guys expected. Well, also because he's not.
Yeah, right. It's out of the blue,
wow.
wasn't it? Yeah.
So yeah, it's just a very interesting phenomenon they got going on in Brooklyn right now. I'm like, so are you guys really taking this serious? Because Kyrie, I just know he is definitely going to be a problem in that locker room. And also, as far as it seems like they want to get a third star in there. So I don't know what moves they're going to make. I don't know if they go after Oladipo or they go after. We even brought up Miles Turner. I feel like Oladipo is the one that I'm hearing talks about. Everyone's trying to get at him right now because they know he wants out of Indianapolis. But, yeah, so as far as Amari Stoudemire and Steve Nash, I guess just because they're great on the court, they assume they'll be great in the coaching area. I just don't know about that. And that's my take.
I have a problem with people having a problem with Steve Nash being hired, but then when Amari Stoudemire gets hired, he has no coaching experience either. All of a sudden, we're like, oh, but that's Amari Stoudemire. Why is it different? Like, I get if you don't like no experience, that's fine. I understand that completely. But let's be equally as mad as the Amari Stoudemire hire. Doc Rivers, when he got hired, had no experience. Ty Lue had no experience. So, well, come on.
Jordan, I got a couple things to say before I get to my California Love segment.
Right.
Number one, they got more players than KD and Kyrie. They got Spencer Dinwiddie. They have Karis LeVert. They have Jared Allen. They have DeAndre Jordan.
I like Jared Allen a lot.
So they got more pieces than just them two. Number two, the reason why they hired Steve Nash is because his relatability to Kevin Durant when he worked with him in Golden State. And also, he's a point guard. So he is used to being able to know a point guard's role with Kyrie, and he has multiple playoff appearances, going to Western Conference Finals multiple times. I think
he's a legend.
Yeah, I think he'll be a great hire, and I think Amari and him can relate to those players. Look out for the Brooklyn Nets next year. That's all I'm saying.
Listen, I have no problem with the hire, but I have a problem with people not liking it. But then on Amari Stoudemire getting hired, we're like, oh, okay, that's fine. That's Amari Stoudemire.
That's definitely debatable,
right? Because I feel like since Steve Nash got hired, I don't think we've ever looked at qualifications for head coaches before. Mm-hmm. We look at the name and we look at where they had been before if they were coaching. Mm-hmm. Now all of a sudden Steve Nash gets hired. He's not the first guy to get hired that hasn't had coaching experience in the past before. But all of a sudden we throw because he's coaching Kyrie and KD, two very difficult players that have been in the past. Kyrie much more so than KD. But now we're throwing our arms up like, oh, he doesn't have any experience. Since we ever cared about that. When has that ever been an issue?
Can you play or not? Can you coach or not?
Yeah, and we'll find out. Jason Kidd, when he got hired, we found out he couldn't really coach all that well with the Brooklyn Nets, actually, with the same team. Yeah. And now he's in L.A., kind of sitting back and learning. Mm-hmm. It works or it doesn't, just like you said.
Right. You want to do yours? Or you want me to do mine?
No, I'm gonna be much longer, so you go ahead and do yours.
Well,
yes,
that's all good.
It's gonna be a Khabib appreciation segment.
That's right.
Yes.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, this is Chris Drummond talking to y'all. California Love segment. So we're going to talk about the California teams that went 3-0 this weekend in the NFL. First up, we're going to talk about the Los Angeles Rams. Yes, they played on Monday night the most frequently. Jared Goff was really good, had 219 yards, 2 of them tubs. Also, they had forced Nicky Foles into 2 interceptions. They had 4 sacks on the game as well. Kept the Bears at bay, kept the Bears without an offensive touchdown. The Rams did play well in that SoFi. I know it's called SoFi, but I call it SoFi Stadium at home. And they won 24-10, and also they're one of 4 teams in the only division of the 8 divisions in the NFL that everybody is over 500. So I got to show the Rams some love. There's no doubt about that. The second team that I'm going to talk about is the San Francisco 49ers. Now, Jimmy G, back to my percentages, y'all. He went 20 of 25. That's 80%, Griff. And he also –
I'm checking that now.
Please do. 20 of 25, that's 80%. They beat him 33-6, went on the road. Jimmy G, homecoming back to New England, hasn't been back there since he got traded. Now, mind you, the reason why I brought up the percentages and the completions is because Cam Newton and Jarrett Stidham completed 15 passes together. Jimmy G completed 20 by himself. Not only that, but Wilson, the running back, had 112 yards and 3 of them tubs, them touchdowns, in a dominating fashion. No question about it. They also picked off the New England quarterbacks 4 times in the game, forcing 4 turnovers. The only reason why it wasn't the only reason why the turnover margin wasn't more is because Jimmy G threw 2 interceptions himself. But that's okay. That was just, other than that, it was a good day. You got to show some love to the San Francisco 49ers in a dominating fashion. Their second win in a row. They win 33-6. Now, getting up to my team. Yes, y'all, I said my team. The Los Angeles Chargers. Yes, indeed. Now, we did beat the Jacksonville Jaguars that hasn't won a game since week 1, but we got to show some love to that Rookie of the Year candidate, Justin Herbert. He was awesome. He was 347 passing, 3 tubs. Once again, no turnovers, no interceptions, no fumbles. He also had 9 carries for 66 yards and a tub as well. So amassing, if you do the math, he amassed for over 413 yards for 4 touchdowns. They also had their highest scoring game of the season with 39 points. They definitely did their thing versus Jacksonville, so you got to show some love. And, yes, they, too, played at SoFi Stadium on Sunday. The Rams played Monday, so they both was at home. So got to show love to all of my California teams in the NFL. It's a clean sweep, baby. You won 3-0, and it's a very good thing. We also going to show some love to the L.A. Dodgers. Now, listen, I'm a Padres fan. Area code 619-858, San Diego, represent. But you got to show some love to the Dodgers. This is the second time. Do you know the last time the Dodgers won the World Series was in 1988? And guess what? That was the same year the Lakers won the championship. And the Dodgers won the championship. And they did it again in 2020. So I can't be wrong with that. 32 years later, the same result. So got to show some love to the Dodgers and putting a managerial spotlight, you should have did this, Jordan, to Dave Roberts, okay? Because he definitely managed his butt off with a very talented team, yes, but a team that couldn't get the job done in multiple years and finally did. So you got to show some love to the Dodgers and that organization. We'll see how it goes when they got to play 102 more games next year, equating to 162. Yeah. We'll see. So that's it in my California Love Spotlight. It's yours truly, Chris Drummond.
Hey, you forgot about the Raiders win. Oh, wait.
Okay. You got jokes today.
When it comes to the Raiders, I do. I most definitely do. Okay. All right. I got a few minutes here. This is a Khabib Nurmagomedov appreciation segment. He just retired on Saturday. We saw it live, 29-0. Retires after his father passed away just 3 to 4 months ago due to COVID-19. And he promised his mother that he would never fight again without his father being there. So he finished Justin Gaethje. By the way, had a broken foot, had several ailments that had prevented him. He was sitting out for 4 weeks of his 8-week training camp. Over half of his training camp, he was not training. And he went in there and he just smoked Justin Gaethje, who was supposed to be the toughest contender that he had faced. The fight itself, he goes in there, takes him down for round 1. Kind of a stand-up war. Not war, I would use the word, but I would say a stand-up match for the first 3.5 minutes. Takes him down, finally gets him, almost gets the arm bar. Justin Gaethje saved by the bell because Khabib was ripping that arm off. Second round, Khabib goes right at him, puts the pressure on him, takes him down immediately, gets top mount for the second time in the fight, and instead of going for ground and pound, goes with the triangle because that was his dad's favorite. It was his favorite submission, the triangle from the top mount. He goes with the armbar, switches to the triangle. And the reason he also went with the triangle instead of the armbar is because he saw Justin Gaethje's parents in the front row. And he said, I don't want to snap Justin Gaethje's arm with his parents right there. And so he switched to a triangle choke and put him to sleep. Have you ever heard of a more terrifying and thoughtful way to end a fight than that?
I have not.
To have the ability to just have the armbar. In MMA, you will take a win any way you can get it. And for him to pass that up and say, no, I'm going to put you to sleep because I don't want to hurt you in front of your parents. He said he wanted to make Justin tap because Justin said in the pre-fight stuff, he said he would never tap. So he wanted to make him tap. And he put him to sleep. That is the most incredible thing I've ever seen. Khabib Nurmagomedov is the greatest MMA fighter of all time and the second greatest athlete to ever walk this earth in my eyes. Wayne Gretzky being number one. To dominate the team sport, don't even get me started on Wayne Gretzky. To dominate the amount of team sport the way that he did is incredible and probably will never happen again. Khabib was never in trouble, never broke a sweat on any of these guys. He dominated Conor McGregor. He dominated Dan Hooker, Al Iaquinta, Edson Barboza. He dominated Dustin Poirier, Justin Gaethje, all of the best of the best of the best of the best in the 155 division, which is the toughest division in MMA history. He eviscerated these guys, made them look like fools. Justin Gaethje looked out of his depth on Saturday night, and that is how great Khabib is. I know he only has 4 title defenses, but the fact that he had dominated those 4 guys and they didn't stand a chance, unlike John Jones, who's been popped several times for PEDs, unlike Anderson Silva, unlike George St. Pierre, who has been in trouble, who has lost a couple fights. He was the original GOAT. Now it's Khabib, and I know the career is short, but 29-0 in MMA is equivalent to 2 or 3 three-peats in NBA, or it is equivalent to 7 to 8 rings in the NFL. It is so difficult to not lose in the UFC, and to not only lose, but but to win and dominate every single opponent he has ever faced. 29-0, Khabib Nurmagomedov is the greatest fighter of all time.
He didn't even lose a round in any of those 29 fights.
No, in the Conor one, he technically lost that round. But when are we judging by judges' scorecards to determine dominance, right? So Khabib is the greatest I've ever seen do it, and I don't think he was ever if he was fighting at this pace, at this level for the rest of his career. I do not know who could ever beat him at any weight class. That is incredible. I mean, I've never in any sport seen such dominance from an athlete like I saw with Khabib Nurmagomedov. That's how incredible he was. So that was my MMA moment. That was it. Want to talk about Khabib? I'm sad that we're not able to watch him. That is really I already miss him. That's how great he was and a pleasure he was to watch fight in the octagon. So moving on to alumni assumptions. You have them for us? Jacob has sent them over by the kindness of his heart. So the score right now, Chris in the rear 68 there in second place, and I am in first with 85.
Of course.
And the bonus question last week was pretty good. The
that
kickers,
was good.
right?
That
60-plus
good.
yards. That was pretty good.
That was very good. That was.
All right.
Okay.
8. All right.
What's the theme?
What's the theme
this week?
Right.
Names of the who?
Names of the North. To the north.
Okay. All right.
Yep.
Let's get it.
All right. So, where's the mic? Can they hear me?
Oh, you guys are kind of going to have to share a little bit at the same time. Kind of sit next to each other.
All right.
Or just trade. Just ask the question and you just give it back to him.
Oh, okay. All right. So, number 1, Juju Smith-Schuster.
Okay. Well, we both get 3s on this one. USC.
USC.
Yeah, that was as easy as it gets. What were the other ones since that was so easy?
Nelson Aguilar and Sam Darnold.
I did not know Aguilar was from USC. So, okay. If it's USC, Chris is getting it for sure. All right, number 2, 88-71.
Mark Ingram Jr.
Okay.
Why is he making this so easy?
Bama?
Alabama.
Right.
Okay, why is it okay? I almost like the Mr. Irrelevant a little bit more. What are the other ones?
Kirk Cousins.
Kirk Cousins did what?
Kirk Cousins went to Michigan State.
Yeah, he didn't go to Alabama.
Oh, my bad. That was the next.
Oh, that was the next one. Okay. Well, we both got 3 on that.
Oh yeah, the other ones were Landon Collins and Calvin Ridley.
Calvin Ridley. Why is he going soft on us? That is not.
He said that was the next one.
Yeah, that was okay. Okay, what were the other Michigan State ones? The 1 and 2.
Brian Hoyer and Le'Veon Bell.
I did not know Brian Hoyer. I didn't know that one.
I didn't know that one either. I knew Le'Veon Bell.
Okay, so we're through 3 already.
Yes.
Yeah.
Oh gosh.
What's the 4th one?
Khalil Mack.
Yes. I bet you don't. I bet you don't.
I believe I do. Nevada?
No.
Not?
Very similar like color scheme though. I can see why you get the 2 confused. I 100% know this.
81. Okay, go to the second one for
Yes.
me.
All right. It's Damone Harris.
Chiefs player.
I got it in my mind, but I don't know that.
I will give you a hint. It is a city. It's one of those. It's one of those where it's not the state. It's just the city name. That might help you or hurt you. I don't know.
Yeah, it definitely hurt.
Okay. Okay.
Give me the last one.
Cameron Lewis.
Okay. Now I've never heard of that guy.
Okay, we'll go back to dealing with Khalil. I'm gonna say that's my last one. I'm gonna say Memphis. Okay.
No, it's Buffalo.
Buffalo. Okay.
Yep.
So I'll take a 0 on that one.
Yep.
I'm good.
All right. So this one might be easy too.
Let's hope it's not.
Miles Garrett.
Yes. Oh, you don't.
I don't think I do.
Wow. Yeah, I 100,000%.
Hold on.
Okay.
Give me like 10, at least 10 seconds.
Okay.
Miles Garrett.
I just. By the way, I'm now in the hundreds. I also have a very, very big ego about it.
You do. Okay, go to the next. Go to
Huh?
the next one.
There's no bonus questions. No.
Go to the next one.
Okay. Ryan Tannehill.
Oh, do you feel stupid?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah.
Texas A&M.
A&M, yes. All right.
Right, here we go. Joe Mixon.
Yep. Man, he's making. I don't get. Of the North. Okay, he's doing AFC and NFC North players. That's what it is. Okay, maybe I'm just stupid.
You
but-
talking about the running back?
Yeah.
Cincinnati?
Yep.
You said Joe Mixon?
I know it for sure.
Nah. What's the next one?
Sterling Shepard.
I did not know he went to that school.
Is it UNC?
No, it's not UNC.
It's not UNC?
It's I'll give them conference. Big 12.
Mixon, Sterling Shepard, Oklahoma State? Why do I not know this? Go ahead.
Just go to the third one. It's Oklahoma. Oh man. Yeah.
Jalen Hurts went to 2 colleges, but Oklahoma, yeah. I understand now. Joe Mixon.
All right.
The
Devontae-
Baker Mayfield would have been the giveaway. Yeah, that would have been a little bit better one. Yeah, he even went to 2 schools actually. He went to Texas Tech.
He did go to
Yeah.
Texas Tech.
Man, Hollywood Brown. I don't know.
Devontae Adams.
Yes. You know it.
Devontae Adams. No, I don't. It's
Okay,
legal.
well, you need to give away your California card or whatever you guys have over there because
Is it Cal?
No.
It's not Stanford.
I just gave you the state.
You did.
Yeah.
But is it UCLA?
Just give him the next one. You keep guys colleges, you're going to hit eventually.
I'm saying.
Keyshawn Johnson.
I didn't know he was from there.
I didn't know either. I definitely know it now. USC.
No. It's not
Keish-
yours.
Keyshawn Johnson went to USC.
There's 2 Keyshawn Johnsons. There's one in the NFL now, and then Keyshawn Johnson, the retired player.
Oh, I'm talking about the retired player.
Well, yeah, well, he doesn't play anymore. He's not counted. He's Keyshawn Johnson in the NFL right now, the other wide receiver.
Oh.
Spelled
okay.
different. God, come on, Chris.
Come on, man. That Keyshawn. Dang. Nope. I don't know. Go ahead.
All right. Derek Carr.
Do you know it? Okay, I will give you, if you get this one, I will give you 1 point. And you will 100% get this one. It's a different sport. Paul George.
Oh, my gosh. You said Paul George?
Okay. Listen, I've done everything I can to help you. I've given you the state. I've given you cross sports.
I'm done. I can't do it.
Fresno State.
Oh, my God. The Bulldogs?
The Bulldogs,
Oh,
yes.
gosh.
The forgotten Cali team. Oh, okay, good.
Cool. Okay.
So what are we through, 6? Now we're on 7?
Yeah, this is the
Last
last one.
one. Okay.
Danny Amendola.
Danny Amendola.
Yeah.
Oh, man. Do I know where he went? Wow.
I do not know. Not Danny.
I'm going to guess Cal. No, okay. Number 2.
Kiki Cootie.
That's just even worse, man.
What? Say the what?
Kiki Cootie. Everyone knows Kiki.
Yeah, Kiki. Right, no, that Kiki.
Vocalizations. Move on. Number 3.
Yeah.
You guys got this. Patrick Mahomes.
Oh,
Okay, bro. Let's move on.
my gosh.
Let's move on.
Wow.
Texas Tech.
Okay. Texas Tech.
All right.
Man.
I have the bonus question.
Talk to me.
All right. So
He takes the mic so gently.
this
He's
is-
like, he's just scoot over here.
this is. All right, guys. This is the bonus question.
Okay.
In the Super Bowl era, an AFC North versus NFC North Super Bowl matchup only happened once. For a chance at 3 points for each answer, give me the name of both teams, which Super Bowl it was, and the Super Bowl MVP. For 9 points, give me the final score.
You said AFC North and NFC North?
Yeah.
Whoa, okay.
In the Super Bowl era, right? Okay.
Okay, I can help you out with one because it's one that's a recent memory that I remember.
And the MVP.
Oh, never mind. This is 2010. Pittsburgh and Green Bay.
There you go.
The MVP was Aaron Rodgers. Yeah.
Did you know the final score?
I believe it was the 45-35.
No.
Is it
36-27. I don't know.
I know. I know they stopped them on 4th down. I believe it was 45-38. No, I don't know that.
31-25.
Got you. I
Okay.
knew it was 2010 though.
You got the other one.
Yeah.
That's like
I knew it was 2010 when they said AFC North, NFC North, Pittsburgh, Green Bay. Yeah.
that's 6 more.
Wait, that's the only matchup ever?
Yeah.
Really?
AFC North, NFC North.
I
I find that hard to believe.
I do too. Well, here's the thing: we can count the Lions out because we know they've never been to one. Bears have actually only been to 2, I think.
Yeah, the Bears played the Patriots.
Who did the
and
Packers play early on? They played the Chiefs. They beat the Chiefs.
The Packers played. Yeah, AFC North, NFC. Yeah,
And the-
Packers. Packers played in the Patriots, and they played Denver.
And the Vikings haven't been to a ton either.
Yeah, the Vikings played the Raiders. That was back in the day. Purple Peter years. Yeah, and
I think it's right. I mean, that's crazy, but I think that's right because you can pretty much count the
Yes.
Browns and the Lions out. Bengals when they lost to San Francisco.
Nope, that's not the only. That's not right.
Oh,
It's not
who's
because
it?
Pittsburgh played Minnesota in in their I believe it was their first Super Bowl in '74. In the Super Bowl era, Pittsburgh played Minnesota. I believe that's what it was.
let's see. We are fact checking as we speak.
Yes, I think in '74 it was 16-6.
74.
16-6 was the final score. It was their first Super Bowl because Pittsburgh won 4 in the '70s.
No, 74 was Dolphins Vikings. But no, the 75. I mean, you were way off. 75, 74. I mean, come on, get it together. It was 16-6 Steelers. Franco Harris was the MVP.
Yep, Pittsburgh, Minnesota, right?
Yes, Pittsburgh, Minnesota.
Yep.
Wow, how'd you? That's pretty incredible that you remember that.
Yeah, that was the AFC North, NFC North. Yeah, that was that.
Wow.
Other than that, I don't
That's
believe
it.
I don't
That's
believe
it.
that. I don't believe that's it. I don't believe
Wow.
anymore.
So we just out fact checked our fact checker,
We
which
did.
is Jacob.
We
wow,
did.
he's not even here.
So
So how many points do I give you for this?
You need to give me 12 for that.
12 points. I thought we
Yes.
put a cap to this, didn't
Listen. I just figured out there was another that we fact checked.
we? Okay, I will give you 10 points.
Okay,
And I
10
feel,
is good.
I feel like that's a good medium
That is
between
good.
where now I have problems because that's a lot of points.
It is a lot.
It's a lot of points.
Hey, he said it was the only one.
Listen.
I wouldn't have gave extra points if he didn't say it was the only one.
Okay, so I will give you 10 points.
Okay.
So the score now is 107-91. Still a pretty big gap now.
Oh, yeah.
You are 23. Yep. You're on the board.
Yeah, you in there.
You are certainly in there, man.
Yes,
for
sir.
Sure.
Yes, sir.
All right.
Yeah. Anything cap.
Yeah, I mean we're gonna reset your score for you, so you're gonna be kind of in the mix. But yeah, you're in it technically. Okay. All right. Last segment of the show. We got 6 minutes left. Stars of the week. For me, my first one, Khabib Nurmagomedov. Like I was saying earlier, the greatest fighter I've ever seen with my own eyes. Goes to 29-0. Easy, cruises to victory, triangle submission off top mount versus Justin Gaethje. Again, going to 29-0 shortly after his father passed away. Retiring on top as the most dominant, there's no question, as the most dominant UFC champion we have ever witnessed. Number 2 for me, Julio Arias last night. The youngest player to ever record a save. Really pitched really well out of the bullpen this entire postseason for the Los Angeles Dodgers. So I really liked what I saw from him because especially early on in his career, people kind of thought this was a guy that wasn't going to find his way back to dominance like he did when he was 19 when he debuted with the LA Dodgers. He finds his way back, maybe a different role than he anticipated because he's supposed to be a starter. Either way, he has really, really vamped up his value around the MLB right now, especially as a reliever. And I'm kind of excited to see what he's going to be like next year. If he's going to be a starter, he's going to be a closer for the LA Dodgers next season. For me, number 3 is Baker Mayfield. Listen, you go and have the worst quarter of your career, and you come back and have the best game of your career, which is kind of incredible to think about. Go for 300, 5 touchdowns, have one of the best throws that any quarterback's thrown all season on that last throw against the Cincinnati Bengals. Baker Mayfield going to go back and shut the haters up and then perform bad the next week. That's the Baker Mayfield cycle, and I'm expecting a bad performance next week. But either way, Baker Mayfield had a great week. I think he deserves a lot more credit than he's been getting so far for it. Either one.
All right. So I'll start off with Pittsburgh Steelers. They're now the only undefeated team in the league. And even though things were looking a little rocky against the Titans, they got the job done. And I feel like they are definitely showing everyone that they are a serious contender. Next up, I got Clayton Kershaw for finally winning a ring. It feels like it's been long awaited, but he finally got it. And I got to give kudos to him. And also, I also got to give a shout out to the Buccaneers for landing Antonio Brown, adding another weapon to Tom Brady's arsenal. So we'll see how that plays out.
All right, Chris, bring us home.
Yes, indeed, baby. So we're talking about the 3 stars of the week. My first star is Justin Herbert. I gush over him all the time. He was 27 of 43, 63% Griff. And he also was 347 with 3 touchdowns, 66 yards, rushing with a touchdown, 413, 4 touchdowns in a win over the Jacksonville Jaguars. The next person I want to talk about is Tom Brady. He had 5 total touchdowns in the game, 369 yards. He, too, was also 33 of 45. That's 11 over 15, reduced 73% Griff. And he did his thing where he was 45-20 over the Raiders. He's a star of the week. And last but not least, got to give it to the MVP, Corey Seager. He was the MVP of the World Series for the Dodgers, winning their first championship in 32 years. He was 8 of 20, batting 400 Griff. He also had 6 walks, 6 RBIs, and 6 runs.
Mookie, I don't know. Mookie had a case.
He did.
Mookie
He
had a
did.
case.
He did. But they gave it to Seager, and he was the hottest hitter coming into the World Series.
Yeah.
So but rightfully so. He did his thing. They deserve it, and that's it of my stars and percentages.
And percentages. Great. We love that, Chris. All right, that's going to be it for us. We're going to end a few minutes early, but make sure to tune in next Wednesday, 2 to 4, on YouTube Live, at least for this week. We'll see what next week holds. That'll be it for us here on the Swoop. Jordan Griffith, Chris Drummond, Jordan Jasper. You guys have a good one.
Peace.